Support. Eligible home buyers can receive up to $20,000 in down payment assistance.
Yeah, we got a big one today. We got Levi Edwards in studio for the hour number 2. We have NFL free agency. DJ Moore, that trade to Buffalo. What does that mean for the Bears? Obviously, Maxx Crosby. Maxx Crosby's availability or not. So today will be a good day, getaway day. I'm jumping on a flight after the show. I'm going to go visit my mom and dad. I'll be back on Monday, and Vinny will be in for me tomorrow. So we got to take care of business today.
Control class without the luxury price tag right now.
Hope everybody's good today. We'd like you to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We are more than just a podcast. We're a radio show. Right, but we're building this YouTube channel to add to the radio show. So we thank you for being a part of it. I'm ready as always. I love the monologue. I love working with Clay. Windy today, little windy. Oh, I saw the Elvis movie last night. Saw the Elvis movie. Wow.
Nobody said
Silver and black. It's the Raiders. Stored franchise. This is no ordinary job. Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
All right, let's get going out of the gate. JT today, big day today. I have a feeling today is going to be bigger than most days, and hopefully you're watching live. We're live on Raider Nation Radio, which you can watch my stream on YouTube, which we've been building one brick layer at a time. No matter where you are, we'd like you to subscribe for free at JT the Brick on YouTube. The link is in my X bio at JT the Brick. It'll take you less than 10 seconds. You can also find us on LV Sports Network if you choose that way, and a whole bunch of other platforms that are out there. Thanks as always for listening. As we brought to you by the Fighting Spirit of Modelo, proud partner of the show. You know I love my bucket of Modelos. On Friday, tomorrow is Friday, and I'll be with my mom and dad in Naples, Florida, and my sisters in Naples. Going to go check in on my mom and check in on my dad. I'll be gone for a few days. Vinny Bonsignor will be in for me tomorrow. So I got a lot I got to take care of today as we get rolling here in the monologue. And today's monologue is going to be about the end is near or not for Maxx Crosby. That's the title of this. The end is near or it's not for Maxx Crosby. This one, however it ends up, is one that I'm going to remember for my entire career. I'm invested heavily in this topic, heavily. And I get very invested in my sports radio shows, no matter what it is. I'm more invested in this than I have been invested in a lot of other national topics and local topics here in Vegas. I'm not really invested in UNLV basketball or football. I want them to do well. I wish the people I know they're well, but I'm not invested in it. I'm not invested in UFC. I like UFC. I'm not really invested in it. Boxing, I love boxing, but boxing's kind of been splintered as of late. I'm not invested as I was the day before or a month or a year before with boxing. I've never been more invested with my family, my friends, and what I'm doing in my personal life. I feel really good about it. But this one has been difficult for me because it's part of my personal life with my friendship with Maxx Crosby, which I really value. I like Max a lot. I like how authentic he is. I like his wife. I like everything about him. I love his story. I love the fact that he's an Oakland Raider. He started in Oakland. He's in Vegas. And that means a lot to me. And I don't want to see him go. But I'm a grown-ass man. And I've lost a lot of things in my life. But I haven't lost my parents, thank God. And they're 87 and 86. I got friends of mine that lost their dad when they were 5 years old and missed out on 80 years of their dad. And imagine that. Or other people that have lost jobs or have lost certain things in their life that are much more serious than sports. So whatever happens with Maxx Crosby, I'm going to be okay. Max is going to be okay, and you're going to be okay. But this one is really personal to me. And it's personal to me because I want to see the Raiders win desperately. I want them to win for you, the Raider Nation, who's been pretty much good to me. There's like less than 1% that aren't, but we've handled them pretty easily. Everybody else who's been good to me and put me in this spot, all I can do to give back, which I think I do, is hope and give you what I can to hope that the Raiders can win at the highest level, as in Super Bowls. That's what this is all about. And I think you're a better football team when you have Maxx Crosby if you want to win. I'm not into waiting around. I know the calendar better than you. I know the football calendar better than some people in the Raiders building who are 28 years old and they're scouts, or they're 39 years old and they've been in football operations. I know the calendar better than them because I've been doing the football calendar longer than them. So I know how long it is between games. I know when an offseason actually starts and when the real games start and count. I know how long that is. And I don't want to wait around anymore. I don't want to wait till not this September, but 2 Septembers from now. That's way too long for me. No chance. I'm not into that topic at all. I want things instantly. I scream at my microwave every day. Hurry up, hurry up. I want things to happen now. But I understand in this situation, it's not going to happen on my timeline, let alone your timeline. So we're going to have to get through this together and try to figure out what's going to happen here. So the level of my frustration isn't high because I've been down this road before. I've seen many players in the NFL, not just the Raiders, who are under contract get traded for various reasons. A lot of the time, it's conduct detrimental to the team, where the team has the player under contract and they look to trade him because they realize they don't have the right guy anymore. That guy has changed. He's no longer productive. He doesn't have a good attitude. He's not a good teammate. That couldn't be farther from the truth from Maxx Crosby. He's the greatest teammate that I've seen in the Raiders in 20-something years. Since Lincoln Kennedy and Rich Gannon were great teammates together and the Raiders went to the Super Bowl. I'm talking guys who all they cared about was winning. Max is on that list. There was no coincidence when Clint Kubiak got hired that Mark Davis brought in Howie Long and Mike Haynes and Jim Plunkett and Charles Woodson. Right? He brought in legends of the game, Rich Gannon, to be at the dais at the podium to send a message to Clint Kubiak. These guys got your back. These are the guys that have won. You know it because your dad competed against some of them, and we want to give you this type of support. So that's part of this. Maxx Crosby is the ultimate teammate and one of the greatest teammates and players I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot. Like, he's a much better teammate than Lawrence Taylor, who to me is the greatest defensive player of all time. Max will not be Lawrence Taylor. Sorry, I love Max. He will not be Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor, but he strives to be. He strives to be those guys. But Max is unbelievable as a teammate, as a player. But Maxx Crosby now is at a crossroads in his career, it seems. He's got to make a decision if he wants to be a Raider, not for life, just for this upcoming season. You see, that's what's hit me like a ton of bricks, excuse the pun. This isn't a life situation. There's a really good chance that Max wouldn't have been here at 33, 34, 35, but still in the league chasing records. Maybe with the Raiders, if they turned the corner and they were playing in a whole bunch of AFC championship games like Kansas City and the Patriots recently have, and then Max could end his entire career with the Raiders. That's what I've envisioned. But the later you get in a career, look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Tom Brady, who went to Tampa. There's a chance you can play somewhere late in your career. So with Maxx Crosby, today I woke up. I had to go to the Raider headquarters. Now, when I was around the house in the morning, I opened up my phone and I go to my Facebook. I have JT the Brick on Facebook and then my Facebook with my family and friends. You know, when my nieces and nephews are posting, it's not for you, it's for me. And I looked on my Facebook, and a year ago today on my memories, I congratulated Maxx Crosby for signing a contract extension. It was a picture of Max, his wife, Rachel, and their daughter. I'm like, man, that was a year ago. Let me double check on my Facebook memory. That wasn't 4 years ago, 6 years ago. No, that was last year. I said, I remember how happy I was when Max signed here. Now there's a lot of speculation that Maxx could be traded as early as today or tomorrow, or really soon here as the new league year is about to open. So I put together a couple of notes, and as you know, I don't do notes. Everything's in my head because I go to games, I watch games. I don't need a producer in my head writing my show. But I jotted down a few things that I wanted to say just in case. First off, I believe that the Raiders should not trade Maxx Crosby under any circumstance. Did I make that clear? For the websites that click my show and the trolls and X and everybody else. Let me make that clear again as I look in the camera. I don't believe the Raiders should trade Maxx Crosby under any circumstance. I support Maxx Crosby as a Raider. I think he's a great Raider, and you're not better without Maxx Crosby. Now, I've said that a lot, but I haven't said it that way today with this type of passion and energy. So I believe that Maxx Crosby should stay with the Raiders. He's their best player by far. Second is Brock Bowers. Brock's young, but he's second to Maxx. He is the face of the franchise. Even though Mendoza's coming, he's the face of the franchise. So I believe he needs to be here because he's the best player. And you should not get rid of your best players under any circumstance. Okay, so that's number one. I believe it would be a step backwards significantly to lose Maxx Crosby on the field of play because the next game is in September and the team won't be as good without him. I don't know what would happen long term if he got traded. They could trade and get the next Khalil Mack or the next Maxx Crosby, and I would support that player. No matter what happens to Maxx Crosby, I'm known for protecting the shield and my loyalty to the organization. Sorry I had to light the torch to prove that to a few of you. So you know where I stand on the logo, the torch, Al Davis, Mark Davis, and the organization. I've proved it. Okay, but I don't think you're a better organization. You're not a better team. You're not a better organization if Maxx Crosby walks out of that building. So I had to get that off my chest before I got on a plane. Okay? I think it's a step backwards to move him out of the building in a trade. Okay. Now, that being said, everybody knows, if you get an offer you can't refuse, which was Marlon Brando's line in The Godfather, okay, I'll make him an offer they can't refuse, and it became world famous. If John Spytek and Tom Brady get an offer they can't refuse, I totally understand why they would trade Maxx Crosby. Totally understand it. They're executives. They're building a team for the long haul, and it makes the team and puts the team in a situation where the executives in charge and ownership believe that that's the best decision long haul. I completely understand that, and I'm aware of that. And you should be too. You should be too. Now, we go to the next topic, perception. What's the perception if the Raiders get rid of Maxx Crosby? The perception is they are doing a complete rebuild, which I do not support, nor do I think they need to do. I don't think they need a complete rebuild because then if they do, eventually trade everybody else who's good on the team. If you're going to get rid of Crosby for a rebuild, you're going to get rid of Colton Miller right behind him. And you better get rid of A.J. Cole because you can get a lot for those guys, and they're really good. They're really good. And you might as well ship them out and get other picks too if you want to rebuild. I don't think the Raiders need to do that. We've had plenty of evidence. Why not? Because of what happened with New England last year, 4 wins, losing the opener to Geno Smith and going to the Super Bowl. They don't have great players. New England doesn't have great players. They got a good quarterback. He's young. They don't got great players. They're okay, but they had a great team. They had great chemistry. They had great chemistry and a great coach who feeds off energy like Maxx Crosby plays for. So I don't think you need a rebuild. But what I think you need to do is look out at this organization a little bit differently with the hiring of Clint Kubiak. He's a younger head coach. You give him more runway. You don't panic and you don't fire him if he doesn't get off to a good start. He's your guy. He's a young play caller. Let him build it the right way. With John Spytek and Tom Brady, of course. But the perception will be a perception that I don't like. And the perception is, hey, this is going to take some time because we got rid of Maxx. We're not better. We got rid of Maxx. So you better believe it's going to take more time for sure. Now, the next topic becomes the most important topic to me, the fans. I'm just a fan behind a microphone. That's all I am, is a fan behind a microphone. And as a fan, I don't think it's good for the fans. But you don't run a football team, day-to-day operations, thinking of the mood of the fans every day. You can't. This organization has a proud history with their fans. They love their fans. And they've been put in some recent uncomfortable scenarios with their fans in relocation. No one wanted to leave Oakland. No one. Oakland happened, had to leave for the politicians and the way that city was running the Raiders out of town and a lot of other complex issues. And the Raiders came to Vegas, and it's not off to the start that it was in Oakland. And Oakland got off to a bumpy start too when they started off as an initial team into the AFL. But the Raiders, now moving to Vegas, have built a powerful financial bedrock organization within the league. I don't know why you struggle with that and go into my comments and say that doesn't matter. That matters a lot. The financial stability of an organization matters a lot. Look at Major League Baseball. It's the Dodgers and everybody else, couple of teams. And the Raiders have a strong financial war chest being built in Las Vegas correctly, built with the stadium to do a lot of things that they weren't able to do in Los Angeles, where they couldn't get suites built for Mr. Davis, and in Oakland, where they were in a border war with the A's on that deal. No problem here. We got this thing locked in. Yeah, we have too many other fans coming in. We're a vacation resort for most of the world. And that's going to happen until the Raiders start winning. But for the fans, I want to see the fans enjoy themselves at a game. The season ticket holders spend a lot of money on these tickets, as do I. And the fans deserve to see the best players, and Maxx is the best players. So I'm thinking of you, the fans, but understanding also that the team who loves you, the team loves you. They really do. You know Mark Davis loves the fans. Come on. You've met Mark. You know he loves the fans, but they got to run a football team. Okay? Now we get to leadership. Leadership, which is a really big deal. Some people are leaders and some people are not. The Raiders have a history of having mavericks, and they have a history of having players, some who did not want to lead. They just wanted to play like hell on Sunday. But they were led by people in the organization who led them to the Super Bowls and the greatest games ever played in the history of the NFL. They didn't want to be the captain. They didn't want to be the rah-rah guy. They just wanted to go out there and play like hell. Maybe the greatest I've ever seen watching the history of the Raiders is Ted Hendricks. Was Ted Hendricks the guy that led every meeting? No. But on Sunday, the Mad Stalk was everywhere and won games. Maxx Crosby is the ultimate leader. If he walks out of your building, you do not have anybody similar to him in your building. Anybody right now in that building similar to Maxx Crosby to lead. You don't have them in the building, at least on the vocal level and the work level. You got a bunch of other guys who are great players, captains in college. They ain't Maxx Crosby. They don't have his story. They don't. That's a big deal. Normally, I wouldn't quote Derek Carr, right? I like Derek Carr a lot. We had a really good relationship, I believe. I think Derek Carr was a great player for the Raiders. He wasn't super elite. He wasn't a top 3 quarterback. He was an MVP cornerback one year. I think he should still be playing in the league on another team. He should be playing because he's that good of a player. Here's what Derek Carr talked about recently on his podcast with his brother about the leadership and the quality of Maxx Crosby.
That people are saying it would
You can
take
trade Maxx Crosby?
Parsons level haul to get this guy, right? Let me explain why I don't think it's a great decision to trade Maxx. There's a few positions in the NFL every team on our list right here is looking for.
Yeah.
You gotta have a quarterback.
Yep.
You gotta have an offensive line.
Yes.
You gotta have a defensive line.
Right.
Gotta have them.
Yeah.
Okay. The Raiders have one of, if not the best, overall defensive linemen. Playing the run, playing the pass, disruptive, motor, everything. Aura, leader, heart and soul of your team. As soon as Max leaves your building, if you trade him, as soon as he leaves your building, there's not only a hole in leadership,
Vacuum, a black hole.
there's not only a hole in your heart and your soul of your football team. There's a hole in your effort.
Yep.
There's a hole in your accountability. There's a hole in your defensive end position. And so this is my long-winded version of why I think it's a bad choice. And I didn't think I'd have to explain that.
Kind of crazy.
But in today's day and age, well, they would say, well, we have him and we're not playing as well. It's the Micah Parsons kind of thought, okay, I hear you, but he's also on a really nice contract.
Really nice contract.
So you just gave it to him.
Yep.
All I'm saying is you're not just losing a defensive end if you trade him.
Right.
You're losing a lot of aspects of that building. If that's the route you want to go, that's your choice.
Yeah, it's not the route that they want to go. I think that they're just a team that wants to be better.
Yeah.
And they see this component that can be very valuable, obviously.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there a scenario where they can get 2 first-round picks for him? But like, even at that point, you don't know what you're getting with those first-round picks.
You don't know if they're going to hit.
Yeah. So what Derek Carr said, I don't agree with everything that the brothers say on their podcast, nor do I watch it much. But I thought that was an interesting point because it frames what I'm talking about in my monologue. That if he leaves the building, you lose a massive leader, a leader that can affect everything. Now, will other leaders step up? Absolutely. Absolutely, other leaders will step up, but not at the level of Maxx Crosby, in my opinion. So there's a lot of reasons why I'm sitting here in this particular monologue with this much at stake. And I wanted to get on the record with all of this because I think it's really important. And today, when DJ Moore got traded from Chicago to Buffalo for a second-round pick, my phone blew up because a lot of people said, okay, that clears Chicago. That clears Chicago more money and space to go get Max. And that is true. If Chicago wants Maxx Crosby, it's either Chicago, Dallas, Philadelphia, the 7 or 8 teams, but the ones that really make the most sense. If Max wanted to play for a championship, why would he leave unless he wanted to play for a championship? Those would be the teams. The Dallas Cowboys have an emotional owner who's only getting older, a topic I talk about often. Jerry is getting older. Jerry wants to win now. He's not going to be here forever. This would be the time to do it. They got a lot of pieces after the Micah Parsons deal. I don't think you want to get rid of Micah Parsons to get Maxx Crosby. Why don't you just keep Micah Parsons? But they got 2 players. They would get 2 players. So that's one of the teams. But Chicago today seems to be the team that everybody is worried about. So I went into the building today, walked around there for about a half hour. No one seemed to be worried, but I didn't see the football operation guys. Don't know what they're doing. I'm sure John Spidek and Tom Brady and everybody is just in their war room or together talking about some of the options for free agency. And then the final point that I want to make is that you don't have to do anything here. Max is under contract. I believe Max still, I know this to be true. I was just with Max Friday night. I know, honestly, Max loves the Raiders. Loves the Raiders. I'm not saying he's not frustrated. I don't know what his agent's telling him. That's none of my business. But I know how much he loves the Raiders. You don't have to do anything here. You can just sit back and enjoy another year of Maxx Crosby. And if you noticed, I'm not saying 2 more years of Maxx Crosby. That was the focus of this whole monologue. You don't have to do anything right now. You don't have to do anything. You can wait to see how Max looks with the new team after Mendoza and free agency in the draft because he's under contract. You don't have to do anything. The Raiders are in charge. They control the contract. They're in charge. They don't have to do nothing. And you can revisit this in a year. I don't think it would get ugly. I could be wrong. I don't think it would get ugly. You don't have to do anything. You can just let this thing develop nicely. Because we've had a pretty nice offseason. It's been really good. It's been a pretty good offseason considering what we watched last year. I am still picking shrapnel out of my back for what I had to deal with sitting on this show last year and how bad the team played and how poorly they played and all the coaches that got fired and all the people whose lives were changed. Now it's been pretty good. It's been quiet. Guys are healing from injury. We get the number 1 pick. We tend to know who it is. We have second most money in cap space, and the cap went up. We got really good draft picks, and we have a new head coach and a bunch of other head coaches that I'm really excited about, especially Robbie Leonard, who's great friends with Max on the defensive side. So I don't go through life kicking the can down the road. I'm not like, let's kick the can down the road, but I would with Max. I would just pause and tell everybody, no, we're good. We're good. Because if Max isn't good with this and Max wants out, then it's time for Max to say it, not me. And I love Max. So Max would have to address this and have to tell you directly, you the fans, if he would like to leave, which he hasn't done yet. And a lot of people are speculating, writing columns, putting out tweets, going on sports talk shows, telling you that Max is disgruntled, Max this and that. They know nothing. They know nothing. They're not getting that from Max. They might be getting it from people around Max or reaching. And I've been pivoting and talking about that around the clock, that most of this has been garbage. But the heat has been turned up in the last 24 to 48 hours. I believe what's changed today with my demeanor and my tone is that I think the teams that want Maxx Crosby, that want him, are probably more motivated today and tomorrow than they've ever been to make it happen. So if the phone is ringing over in Deep Henderson and the phone is ringing, I don't think there's 30 teams calling. I don't think there's 20. But if there's 5 teams calling, the phone lines are probably burning up right now. And we're at a point in the poker game, potentially, in the poker game, where something's going to happen. The dealer's going to flip a card. One of the players at the poker table is going to make a mistake. Someone's going to go all in, and it's probably going to happen. And that's the monologue. Let's hear what you have to say at 702-365-9200 if you want to get in. And no matter what happens, we're all going to be okay. Here's my buddy Raider Reggie. I sit next to him at games. Hello, Reggie.
JT, man, I really don't want the Raiders to trade my guy, man. You know, the biggest hole I've felt as far as like hunting when they trade is when we got rid of Khalil, right? That filled that hole and actually gave me hope that shit, we got a guy that's gonna go first. It all depended on what the Raiders did with that, you know, and I feel like in that mindset, I feel like the Raiders let him down by not doing the right moves. And that all teeters on the fact that we had all this drama with the coaching and all of that. But right now, I'm thinking Max gotta see that we're probably in the best place we've been since he's been a Raider, as far as what we have coming soon with the draft, with the free agency. And I just hope that we get through these next 2 days without saying Maxx Crosby has been traded, and then we see the actions of the team going and getting him some help. Get some help for this man so that when we get this offense going, our defense can stand up and be better than they ever been. That's all I hope for. Maxx Crosby is the face of this team. He's the soul of this team right now. He's what's keeping us holding on because we got hope.
Yeah.
So I hope we don't lose Max, man. I would hate that. But like you said, I'm a grown man, and I understand if he's demanding a trade, that's a whole different thing. Yeah. And I'll back up and let him do his thing. Go ahead. My guy, Big Al, told me this story yesterday. He said he gonna let him chase his rainbow. If you need to go chase the rainbows, go do it. Yeah. But I'm hoping that's not what Max wants to do. I'll see you as soon as I can. I wish you were going to be here tomorrow at one of your remote spots. I wanted to come see you because I haven't been so well lately. But
all right, well, I'll see you soon, Reggie. It was good. You got it, man. Good to see you always when we do see you. And look, this is from Max. Max eventually is going to have to speak on this issue, and he's got multiple platforms to do it, including this show. I don't think I'll be the first choice, but I think I'd be one of the early choices for him. And if he ends up staying, which I hope that's the case, because he's under contract, I hope he stays. We will get an interview with him, I promise you. And we'll talk to him about what he went through at this time. But that's it. He's the type of player that is going through a lot. He fought through and got his sobriety under control. He got his family started. He recently moved. He's playing for a team. He just had an injury. He just had surgery. He has a lot going on. But don't ever forget, with all the equity and sweat equity that Maxx Crosby's put into this organization, don't ever doubt him as a Raider, because I'm seeing some light trolls out there saying things about, because you can't handle this, don't take it out on Maxx. Because you patiently aren't patient about a business called football, and you're not in that business, don't take it out on Maxx and his family. Okay? He's a football player. He's got issues with his family and life just like you and I do. And I think the level of respect has been really high for Maxx. Really high. I think the fans love him as much as any player that they've seen in quite some time. Let's keep it moving. Opens up a line for you, 702-365-9200. Here's Joe in Brooklyn. Go ahead, Joe. What's happening?
What's up, Casey? How's everything?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Good. All right, listen, nobody wants Maxx to go, right? I mean, we want him here. We don't know what he's thinking or how he feels, or, we have the whole Guerrero thing. And long story short, we want him here. I mean, if he doesn't want to be here, Spytek has to do it the way he wants to do it. Like I said, we have a young team, and he's our biggest asset right now. And we get a couple of first-round draft picks. He always says he wants to build this team the right way. I think in Spytek guys, the right way is through the draft. And this whole season is going to be big. I see them being aggressive, but with younger guys like a Lindenbaum, a couple of young linebackers. I know Maxx has been here for 6-7 years, but we haven't won with him. He's a great leader. I get it. Yes, I'll tie it into the Mets because I'm a big Mets fan. Everybody is up in arms that they lost Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo, and those guys were there for years, and we haven't won with them. Sometimes it's just okay to blow it up and start fresh. Not a big deal. Either way, I do want Maxx there, but if Maxx don't want to be there, Spytek has to, get the picks, be smarter free agency, and maybe, flip the picks for, picks, next year. That's his job. There'll be a lot of pressure on him to get this right if they trade Maxx. It's okay if it happens. If Maxx is not happy here, this is the time. His name is the hottest thing right now. But minimum, we have to get 2 first-round picks and a player. If they feel the draft is the way to go, and I think Spytek thinks like that because he was in Tampa and they built through the draft. But we have a young team. I don't want to see Maxx go, but like I said, I tried into the Mets. Pete Alonso is gone. They got rid of a lot of fan favorites, and we're determined. We'll see how it is, but I'm okay with it, But thanks, Jason.
Yeah, I'm not okay with it. I don't like replacing ifs. I don't like ifs. I don't like players who are in shorts in Indy in the combine replacing Maxx Crosby. But picks are very valuable, and they're going to be very valuable for this organization going forward with a new coaching staff, a young GM, and Tom Brady's vision for what he wants the Raiders to look like eventually as a perennial playoff winning team. And usually have to build that via the draft. I think the Raiders have plenty of draft picks. If they get a couple of more because of Maxx, okay, you could hit on one of them. There's a chance you could go 0 for 2 on the 2 picks, 1 out of 2, or 2 for 2 would be a miracle. Okay, we got Maxx Crosby. We don't have to do anything. Don't have to do anything. You can just say no and keep him here. And we're going to see what happens because none of us really know what's going on. And there's some people who get paid a lot of money in the NFL and media who get paid a lot of money and they have no idea what the hell's going on. All right, 702-365-9200. We set up the studio today. We have Levi in studio for an hour. Levi Edwards in studio for 1 hour at the top of the hour. I cleared out the first hour for everybody to call in on Maxx because I'm not on the air tomorrow. And I hope when I come back on Monday, whenever you go away for a little bit, you always wonder what happens when you're gone. So that's why I'm bringing some extra juice today to the flagship.
Wake up with the morning tailgate.
What's going on, everybody? Everybody behaving? Why is Robert having to be cool? Why does someone have to? Why everybody need to be cool? Remember, it's a privilege to be in here. I don't want my son to break out the bricktator.
The face of your franchise, the quarterback, key leader, it's not like unbelievable.
The morning tailgate, Tuesdays at 7 a.m.
Boyd Gaming is the official.
We're asking Robert to cool the F out.
Bring your friends, have some fun, but always bet on black. Visit their 10 casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. Your defending national champion UNLV Rebel hockey team is back on the ice this Friday and Saturday night, taking on.
Oh, let's behave, boys.
Tickets are $15 for kids, 20 for adults. Puck drops at 7 at City National Arena. Presented by Chris Burke Injury Law. This is JT for the local 872 proud partners in the radio. Tommy, what I built in this guys on budget.
That was a good Golden Knight win in Hockeytown last night. They were down 3-1 and won 4-3. That was a nice win. Sure, Clay Baker has the game-winning goal. Thank you.
Nation Radio. JT, Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Vegas. Only in Grimaldi's did you get the Vegas.
Yes.
Okay.
Some 4 more pizzas in the Vegas Valley, or check them out online at Grimaldi'sPizza.com.
The Vegas Golden Knights are rolling through. So easy to sip and enjoy. It's not seltzer. Official partner of the Vegas Golden Knights. Sold in.
Taylor Cruz just hit a home run for Cincinnati out of the ballpark. Jeez.
What hell? Great.
Yeah.
Thing I just saw. I went to Disneyland. It was a 70th celebration.
Why are we giving Robert a last warning? Why? What am I missing here with Robert? Robert, calm down. We'd like you to stick around. If not, we'll have to break out the bricktator. Robert, no one's sending each other's address to fight you, and you're not going to fight anybody here, Robert Douglas. 5112. So put down your bare knuckles and behave, or get your ass blocked into oblivion, never to be heard of again. And we don't want that to happen. So knock it off, bro.
4 adults and 2-day 1-park day tickets and a 3-night stay at a selected neighborhood outlet until it's through. Total price $1,960. And .com/Good Neighbor Hotels for details.
I got some good sound. You got Stephen A. Smith ripping Pelicans. That was good. Schefter on Maxx. All right, I'll throw to that. And Peter Schrager. Like and sub, please, if you can. We're trying to get to 9,000. That'll get us to 10. That'll get us to 20. Let's go. I've been waiting too long to get to 10,000 subs, but I'm not doing much other than simulcasting the show. So, if I did shows like other people did every day, we'd have a bigger audience. But I like this audience for starters. Thanks again, Spencer Hicks. Appreciate it.
Extend the life of your water heater right now. For a limited time, take advantage of our water heater flush special for only $26.
Imagine never meeting me and not liking me like some of these trolls that don't like me and they never met me. It's amazing. The internet, man. The internet does that. Used to be before the internet, if you never met anybody, you never knew them. So you didn't have an opinion on them. Now, because of the internet, the Elvis movie was great. Yeah, we got to come out with some Elvis at some point. The Elvis movie was great.
And they'll welcome the Oklahoma City Comets in for 6 games. So, very exciting season.
Oh, sponsorships. Yeah, we're looking for bars in Vegas to sponsor. Bars in Vegas who want to get a big following. Bars in Vegas, contact us.
But in today's day and age, well, they would say, well, we have him and we're not playing as well as the Micah Parsons kind of thought, okay, I hear you, but he's also on a really nice contract.
Really nice contract.
So you just gave it to him.
Yep.
All I'm saying is you're not just losing the defensive end if you trade him.
Right.
You're losing a lot of aspects of that building. If that's the route you want to go, that's your choice.
Yeah, it's not the route that they want to go. I think that they're just a team that wants to be better.
Yeah.
And they see this component that can be very valuable, obviously.
Yeah.
And I mean, is there a scenario where they can get 2 first-round picks for him? But like even at that point, you don't know what you're getting with those first-round picks.
I don't know if they're going to hit.
Yeah, that's the Carr brothers. I'm just playing it because I agree with them. I agree with what they're saying. I'm not saying they're right. And God knows I'm not always right, but I take it really seriously and I try to get it right. We're brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. As you know, there's a lot of people in town full of testosterone on motorcycles, changing their hair on their commercials every day. That's not the DeCastroverde brothers. Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde are grinders for their dad's great legacy as they carried it on. Go to brotherswin.com, brotherswin.com. If you need an attorney and you get injured in an accident, they're the best of the best. If you want to get through, 702-365-9200. It's a pretty good topical day if you want to get through on all this. The DJ Moore trade was pretty big. I like DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore, they just took a big weapon away from Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is a good quarterback, right? They got Roma Dunze, who played football at Bishop Gorman where my son played. And right around the same time, I'm a big Roma Dunze guy, but they just took away DJ Moore. And the DJ Moore goes to Buffalo. And I think Buffalo proved today, as everybody's freaking out, trying to figure out, Clay, if Buffalo gave up too much for DJ Moore. No, Buffalo's trying to win a Super Bowl. They should have won 2 Super Bowls in the last 3-4 years. They're desperate now, and they bring in DJ Moore. I'm all for that.
Yeah, it's finally a receiver that's young and it can still be considered in his prime, and also had his best years with Joe Brady when Joe Brady was a young OC with the Carolina Panthers.
Great point. I thought that was a good move. Now, are we really going to cry about a second-round pick for DJ Moore? So he's not a first-round pick. A.J. Brown's a first-round pick, but you might be able to get him for a second. If you call, probably not. And a lot of people are suggesting is Maxx worth 2 first-rounders? Well, yeah, they're late first-rounders. He is worth a first-rounder. If the Jets want to trade for Maxx, call up, Jets. Give us the second pick overall. We'll take Fernando and have the second pick. The people calling for Maxx don't have a top 5 pick. The Rams have a good pick. The Cowboys have a good pick. So there's not a lot of teams out there that won Maxx that are there in the top 5, 6, 7 picks. They're there in the 20s. So you want a 20th pick in the first round for Maxx Crosby? And then next year, a 20th pick in the first round? That's going to do it for you? I mean, it's hard. This is not easy. And John Spytek's been around the league for a bit, but he's a young GM calling the shots here. He's got big decisions to make. Here's Adam Schefter today as he was talking about the rumblings of what's going on with McAfee. Okay.
I don't know that they're going to be able to get it done in the end. I think there have been a whole bunch of teams in on Maxx Crosby. Everybody's sniffing around. That feels like one of those situations it's quiet now. Volcano simmering, the purpose, and we're just waiting to see whether that volcano erupts here in the coming days and whether the Raiders decide to ultimately move on from Maxx Crosby. There certainly are any number of interested suitors. The Bears have checked in, the Cowboys have checked in, the Bills have checked in. I would think a trade like this probably lessens the chances that the Bills could pull off a deal for Maxx Crosby because you only have so many moves to make for big name, big game players, big money players. And when you trade for DJ Moore, that's hard to give up all that money now to pay Maxx Crosby. Well, again, teams find ways to make things happen, but I just think it lessens the chance that Buffalo can get something done for Maxx Crosby by making this deal for DJ Moore today.
Yeah, then that's Buffalo being out. So Adam Schefter thinks that Buffalo had some leverage to do the deal because I think Maxx would be a great fit for Buffalo, and I want Maxx to stay here. I never want to see Maxx leave. But Buffalo is probably the best team in the group not to win the Super Bowl. Who are the best teams not to win the Super Bowl? Don't tell me New England. Buffalo's a lot better than New England. Buffalo's better than New England. And Buffalo will take care of New England this year. I can promise you that. So the best teams in football, Kansas City can get back again because they have a good culture. But the best teams in football seem to be Detroit, Buffalo, that haven't won. The Rams have won under Stafford, but they're pretty good. West Coast team. And don't forget about Seattle. A lot of people are wondering about Seattle. What is Seattle going to do? Are they just going to lose players? If they're just going to lose players, how are they going to beat the Niners? And there are some knuckleheads up in the Bay who are throwing spaghetti on the wall thinking they could get Maxx for little to nothing. I doubt that very much. Here's Raider G in Denver. Hello, G.
Hey, how's it going, JT? This is G, man, calling in from the Mile High City, man, out here representing Raider Nation. I'm just calling in, man, just kind of voice my opinion on Maxx Crosby, man. I hope he doesn't leave us. We've seen this story before with Khalil Mack. I know it's a different regime and all that, man, but, man, start scratch again. That'd kind of be hard, man, because it's hard to find a good DN like Maxx Crosby.
But, Khalil Mack was about money. Maxx isn't about money. Remember, Khalil Mack, the Raiders' liquidity and what they wanted to do for Mack, the $90 million, $60 million in guarantee at the time, was a really big deal. I was there for that. I had a front row seat. This is different. It's not a money problem here at all. It's not a money issue. For Maxx, this organization has plenty of money, and they're proving it.
No, yeah, I agree, man. It's kind of different situation with the money and all that, man. But just kind of factoring in as far as like a DN, you can't find a player like Mack. And just one quick thing, man. I saw you we were on the Raider fan cruise. I had the privilege to, be up there with a bunch of Raider alumni. And I remember, we were at the bar, we were hanging out, and I think I was able to ask you real quick because, you had a lot going on. But I was like, man, what do you think of Maxx Crosby, man? And I already knew what kind of player he is and all that, so I wasn't like going like that. And you simply said, you're like, man, he's the real deal. And I kind of knew that was going to be your answer, but it was kind of cool just listening to it from you, somebody who's inside the Raider organization and all that, man. So
we were supposed to be on we were supposed to be on the cruise today. I was supposed to be off all week for the cruise. The cruise got canceled. Wasn't the Raiders' fault, but we were supposed to be on the cruise this week, Monday to Friday.
I would do that cruise again, man. That was
so
much fun. The beach party and all that, the alumni there and everything, man. It was so cool, man.
Well, thanks for calling, man. Call more. We'll hopefully there'll be some good news coming up here in the next couple of days. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, there you go. Guy was on the Raider cruise with us. So the cruise was supposed to be Monday and be gone all this week. And that didn't work out. No big deal. I had a good time. It's a good memory. Hopefully we get the cruise ship going again. 702-365-9200. As we are brought to you by our great friends at La Casa Cigars and Lounge. Mike knows I slide by. Lately, Mike and I have been missing each other. I can walk into that humidor. I look at all the selections of the cigars. I like the Romeo and Julieta. I like my Rocky Patel. I like my cigars there. They got Modelo. They got Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. They got Remy Martin, Sip Like Sports Royalty. It's all there, La Casa Cigars at Tivoli Village. You're going to get some bonus Levi Edwards, who is here. Levi's in studio. We're going to have Levi for the next hour and 10 minutes or so. So you can get in with Levi if you have a question for him. He was at the Combine. So I wanted to get into position needs for the Raiders. What do the Raiders need to do? We gave you a lot of Maxx Crosby there in the first 45 minutes. I'll get Levi's opinion on the vibe in the building today as we continue on the flagship of the Silver and Black. I'm just letting you some stuff here for a second. I'll talk to you. We'll be right back.
Good morning, tailgate.
The Baltimore Ravens were
I was in the building for a little bit. I missed you today. I just You're comfortable? So Levi here, everybody. We got 483 in the chat. That's a good number today, man. You all must have tuned. Everybody must have tuned in. And you got a Dutch Brothers. Good. Dutch Brothers.
I had to get some juice somewhere.
Yeah. I drove over there today, and there were benefit people in the building. The place was packed. People, you do your benefits and all that today. Did you see the lobby? The lobby was packed.
Yeah, so I didn't go to work today.
Oh, you didn't? Good.
No, because I was actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I was using my benefits. I had to go get an eye exam.
An eye exam. Okay.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. And my prescription was the exact same. I really just had to go get one because in the state of Nevada, your eyeglass prescription, it expired after a year.
Oh, does it?
So in order for me to get a new pair of glasses, I had to go get another eye exam.
Wow.
So I just decided to do that today and then give me a shit ton of time to get here by one.
Good.
Hopefully
Yeah, once you get used to getting here, it's pretty easy, and the days that maybe you can host for me down the road, can do it from the building, which would be good. I haven't been in the building much lately, but that's okay. This is supposed to be our off season.
It's crazy. I had a nice little run off season from January 2nd to like February. That was a nice little off season.
Yeah, I didn't have any, so I need an off season. I need an off season like badly. So I think we're going to have a fun little off season.
I appreciate the Cadillac Levi comments.
Yeah.
We need to get that rolling as a real nickname.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? I want to get into some Raider position needs. So this is a short segment. So the way, and Levi and I are talking about radio because he's going to be sitting in more and more. So we'll take some of our broadcast students behind the scenes. So basically you got 3 segments an hour. I'm not very good. Clay knows this. I try to do it all.
Yeah.
And now we have a very short segment to end the hour because we got to get out at what time?
56. So we'll have about 4.5 minutes.
Yeah. So this is the segment where we have to focus on the clock.
Okay.
Like this is the segment when Clay looks at me and he goes, "Wrap it up. I got to get out." Whereas in the first 2 segments, you can go as long as you want. But in radio, you don't want to have a short segment. You don't want to have a 3-minute segment because people have been waiting through these commercials for 4 or 5 minutes, and then you don't want to give them another one. I'll get you a headset in a minute.
No problem.
JT, back with you as we continue on. Levi Edwards in studio, and you can watch right now on our YouTube stream. We got a lot of people in there popping today. And Levi, I think they came in here today because everybody's feeling like the Maxx scenario. There's going to be some type of closure coming up here. We're team employees, so we're not here saying, I don't want them to leave. I want them to be here. So I'm not encouraging a trade. I'm encouraging the opposite. I hope this thing blows over the next couple of days. But after the DJ Moore trade today to Buffalo, a lot of people think Chicago is positioning themselves to at least make a phone call about Maxx. What are you hearing?
I'm hearing a lot of the same things. I'm hearing that if they do pull the trigger, it probably will be an NFC team. It just doesn't really necessarily seem like a great idea to trade them, in your own conference, especially when there's so many great teams within, the AFC that you have to compete with. So I do think if this does go down, it will be an NFC team. I can think of 3 just off of the top of my head that would be great fits, but obviously it's really difficult to find another Maxx Crosby, and I think that's the only issue I have with making the trade is like, yes, you're going through a rebuild and you're trying to, really build this from the ground up, and I understand the logic. It's just that, when you're going through your next rebuild, finding another Maxx Crosby, I think it's just going to be so difficult. So you might as well just keep them if you feel like you can't replace them.
Yeah, and if you keep them because you didn't get an offer that you liked, what would an offer that you think the Raiders, if they didn't like, would turn down? Would that be a first and a third? Everybody's been talking about the Raiders wanting, and we don't know. We don't know. John Spytek is not telling us what that deal would be. But for the insiders, it was saying the 2 first-round picks feel a little bit too rich. Is there some truth to that? Is 2 first-round picks too rich for some teams?
I definitely think for most teams, 2 first-round picks is very excessive. The only team that I could think of, like I said, there's only a certain amount of teams that I feel are going to be willing to do that, and that's going to be the team that they feel like Maxx Crosby is their ticket to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's really only, when you add in cap space, when you add in trade assets, there's really only two teams that I feel have right now the necessary things to be able to pull off a trade like that and still have enough money to pay Max, but also be Super Bowl bound. And that's really the Chicago Bears and the Rams, really. That's about it.
So you think the Rams, what they have and the pieces that they have set, and we saw Devontae, a totally different scenario. Max loves the Raiders more than Devontae. Let me say that on the record, too. Max loves the Raiders more than Devontae Adams ever loved the Raiders. That's a fact. But the Rams seem to be an all-in team, too, and they find ways to make things fit.
Yeah, they find ways to make things fit. They already have a really good piece over there with Jared Verse.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Brandon Fisk, a really good defensive line already. You add him to that, plus the fact that they just went and got Trent McDuffie. And also when you think about the trade assets, obviously when you're trying to get a first from a lot of these teams that want Max, they're like really, really at the back end, first-round picks. The Rams, when they trade for McDuffie, they trade their own first-round pick. They still have 13 from the Falcons. And so if you add 13 from the Falcons, from the Rams, and another first maybe for next year, or, then you really have a pretty good trade-off on the table. So I think that's possible.
Yeah, but you make a good point. A first-round pick next year that's 29th overall. That's not a great pick.
No, but 13 in this year's draft class, especially with a couple of the edge rushers that are going to be coming out. Obviously, there's a couple of guys that are probably going to be gone, like David Bailey and Alvaro Reese. Those are goners. But there's a couple other guys that, especially at 13 in this year's draft, where you could pick up, or hell, you could even get an offensive lineman right there.
Got to get a couple of offensive linemen. That hour brought to you by Finley Volvo, right there on Russell at the 215. EVs, you can get a lease. Got great APR financing. All you got to do is go to Finley Volvo, Las Vegas, right there across from UFC on the freeway. Go see Mike and test drive a vehicle. It'll be a life changer and a safety move for you. All right. We got a minute or two. I'm going to let Levi look at the chat, and you can talk in it if you see anything. Hey, you can chat with Levi here for a few minutes. What was that?
So much fun.
Yeah. Everybody will be nice to you.
Yeah.
Everybody will be nice. Like that.
Would hate to live in New York right now.
Is this
Oh yeah. Is it snowing back in your homeland?
I think there's a little more snow coming. I think there's some snow coming. Las Vegas.
Aloha, Levi. Welcome to Hawaii. Shout out Hawaii. Best performance at the combine. Oh, Peyton. Is that Peyton? Oh, wow. Shout out Peyton. If that's yeah. Anybody that went to Ohio State. Shout out Peyton Wiggins. That's my guy. It's lacking Vega alone. I have not heard anything about that. Not heard anything about Vega. But yeah, combine, best performers at the combine, anybody from Ohio State. Caden McDonald, the Styles brothers, Arvell Reese, Carnell Tate, even though people are trying to say Carnell was slow with his 4.5. What's your thoughts on last year's draft class? I don't know. They barely played. We're going to find out how good they are this year. What you sipping on? Golden Eagle Freeze. Golden Eagle Freeze from Dutch Brothers. Big espresso guy right here. Espresso. If you're not a fan of sweet coffee, do not get this. It's pretty sweet, but it's really good. It gives me juice. There's 40 speed and there's on the field chasing the ball speed. I agree. Yes, I do think there's a chance that they could trade back in the first, take offensive lineman for sure. Biggest surprise player that you think is rising in the draft? The safety from Oregon, Dylan, kid who ran like a 4.37. I really liked him at Oregon, and then he had a crazy combine. He's probably going to be a first-round pick now, just off of the combine. But the film film adds up.
Safety at Oregon.
Yeah. I can't. Do you know his last name? Thiemann?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
It's like Dylan Thieneman, something like that. It looks like Theismann, but it's not. But he's a dog.
Dylan Thieneman, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thieneman. He's really good.
Yeah, we're just going to chill and talk football for an hour. We'll just show you the X's and O's of coming in and out of breaks. All right. I think I want to spend this hour talking about needs, not the player. We don't know the player. We know we're getting Mendoza. We don't know anything else. And some of the other needs. So maybe start off with the priority of the offensive line. And you're at the combine.
Yeah.
What you think? Can we get one or two out of the combine, or do we have to get them in free agency?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Yeah. What do you think about the Golden Knights? I think my guy Peyton Wiggness needs to take me to a game. That's what I think about the Golden Knights, because I've never been to one, and Peyton told me he would take me.
I'm trying to impress Peyton today. Show him I'm still here to work.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. Great question, Peyton.
We're back live on the air. We are grooming Levi to come on in here and do more and more radio because he's good. The calendar proves it. And I want to get out of here for a couple of weeks. Actually, that's it.
Yeah.
And get out of here and head to the beach or do something. But just when I want to leave, they pull me back in. There is no off season. You had a little bit of wave running down in Miami. You went to the combine, which was no vacation. It was work for you. But, we're going to leave this hour with Levi Edwards in studio from the Raiders digital team as we get ready. We did an hour on Maxx Crosby, and we did our best job to feed you red meat on Maxx Crosby, even though we're not aware of anything. Just like no one's aware of anything. No one's got an inside track to Maxx Crosby. A lot of people think they do. A lot of the housewives and a lot of the other bigger NFL influencers and insiders believe that they know something that we don't know. I know Max better than them. I do. But I don't have a lot of really gossip to tell you. We're in the gossip portion of this now. So we handled Max. If there is breaking news, you'll hear it here either on this show or with Q. So you just got back from the combine. I wanted to begin this hour. I think it's a necessity to get 2 new offensive linemen. But when I say that, people say, well, you must not think much of the guys in the building. No, some guys were just drafted there last year, but I've seen most of them play. I'm not impressed enough to roll out that product again. So I'm looking for 2 new offensive linemen. Do I have to get them both in free agency? Could it be 1 and 1, 1 in free agency, 1 in the draft?
And I would definitely say 1 and 1, or 2 and 2, just depending on how the offensive line looked last year. It definitely is one of those things where you want to go younger, and this is one of those things where you're bringing in a veteran offensive line coach who's done a lot. And so obviously he has a ability to be able to develop guys. And that's good because I feel in the past we haven't really had a offensive line coach who could develop young talent since Tom Cable. He might have been the last guy I can remember in the building that really was able to take what he had and really make the most of them. And Rick Dennison has a great opportunity to do that. So there's still some guys in the building that I feel were kind of let down last year. They were not coached to the fullest of their ability. So you still have to figure out what you can do with those guys. But with all that said, you still have to go out and spend a day 2 or day 1 pick on the offensive lineman. You cannot, if you go into day 3 of the draft without taking the offensive lineman and you're the Raiders, then there's a problem.
Yeah, I think that's really what's haunting the Raiders in recent drafts is the Raiders get to a point in the draft where they have to decide, is it a need? There's been a lot of needs around here. Is it best available player? And you were telling our chat in our group before we came back that you like the edge rushers there. God forbid. And I think it's a God forbid scenario for me if Max is gone. If the Raiders had a first-round pick in that, which would have to happen, let alone 2, you could get a really good edge rusher somewhere mid to late first round.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's a possibility. It's just that there's two guys that I feel like are elite edge rushers that could be Pro Bowl, all pro guys, and that's David Bailey and that's Arbel Reese. And those guys are going to be long gone by the time you get to the middle of the round. So then you have to start looking at some other guys like a
Ruben Bain.
Falk. Well, Ruben Bain is a guy, he could be there in the mid rounds, in the mid round first. Falk from Auburn, he's another guy that I like a lot. Some of those other, outside linebackers who are pass rusher guys, I think that those are also a couple of good ones that are in the draft. But it really is one of those things when you're replacing a guy like Maxx Crosby, if you have to replace a guy like Maxx Crosby, like the higher the first, the better.
So are there, and this is a really tough question, and if you want to get in, you want to talk to Levi, ask him some questions, go into our chat on YouTube. You can go in there easily and find out about it, or you can call us at 702-365-9200, have an opportunity to ask Levi directly as he just got back from the combine. But what concerns me is the Raiders in the second round or the third round draft an offensive lineman and he's not ready. I mean, Lincoln Kennedy's head will fall off. It'll fall off. I mean, I cannot imagine developing someone in front of Mendoza, but I've been around long enough, Levi, to know that if you draft an offensive lineman, there's going to be a development stage, even though they're really good in their first and second round grades. And I think the Raiders need a first or second round grade offensive lineman. So in the third round, if you got a second round grade on an offensive lineman and he's there, you want to take him. But you would assume that guy would have to be ready to play, or would you develop him?
It has to be someone that I would say has to be ready to play. And, I see someone in the chat talking about Caleb Tieran. He's one of those guys that I really like out of Northwestern. Definitely a guy that, he's real big dude, about 6'6", 6'7", about 315, 320 pounds. He played in, he can, he's a tackle, but you can also move him in at guard. Really good prospect. But you definitely have to go into day two. Obviously, day one, more two.
So in the second round.
To be able to improve. And will Dante Thornton improve? Will Jack Besh improve? You would hope so. You would think so. And then this is going to be a huge offseason for them. But just based off of what you see right now from the receivers on the team without Jacoby Myers, there's not too many guys that can create separation. There were times I was watching games last year and Ashton Genty out of the backfield was creating better separation than the receivers for the Raiders. So with that being said, you have to go out and get a definitive, receiver one. And with that being said,
so wait a second. This is big for me because Bowers is a receiver one hybrid. You got Bowers healthy, 100 plus, could put up Waller-Bauer numbers. You definitely have Besh, a second guy, but not a number one. You got Thornton, who he dreamed about being a hybrid or a high point catch guy in the red zone. Trey Tucker is a guy who can get separation if he's on a go route and beat someone there. But you're looking at what? You're looking at a 6'3", clear number one wide receiver that walks into the Raiders training camp as the one. as a rookie or a free agent? Because I think it's going to be hard, and I think there's some good rookie talent out there.
So it can go either way, but in free agency, the only guy on the free agent market right now that I can see can be a clear-cut number one guy is Alec Pierce.
Right.
He's someone that he went on K. Adams, said, hey, I'm testing my market. I'm going to see what I can go get. And I think Alec Pierce is a really great receiver, especially someone who could be really good in the development of Fernando Mendoza. It's one of those things where I truly feel that Alec Pierce could not really showcase who he was with the Colts just because he had Michael Pittman there. He had Josh Downs there. Tyler Warren came in. He took a couple away some targets, kind of the same kind of thing with Brock Bowers of that kind of level of talent at tight end. I think Alec Pierce with this receiving core could immediately walk in and be the number one and prove that he could be a legitimate number one receiver in the league. And if you are looking for that in the NFL draft, like we were talking about and trading back into the first, you have Carnell Tate, you have Tyson, you have Malachi Lemon. Those are guys that I could see could step in and be number one receivers for the Raiders right now, but you would have to trade back into the first, around those picks of like 12 to 18. That's kind of your range of what you have to come back into if you want to get one of those top receivers.
Levi Edwards in studio here from the Raiders digital side, right back from the Combine as we continue on, as we are brought to you by the M Resort Spa and Casino. You go to the M, right?
I do go to the M.
Yeah, right. The Raiders Tavern and Grill.
Raiders Tavern and Grill, baby cakes. That's my spot. Yeah.
There you go. That's what we do there. They got 2 towers. My new catchphrase is 2's better than 1. 2 towers there, M Resort Spa and Casino. So this is why I like it. They don't give me a co-host around here, and maybe I don't deserve one, but love having someone to talk to today. You believe that this receiver deal, this is a priority. Wow. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying it. What the hell have we been doing around here the last 4 or 5 years in Vegas? We had Devontae. We had one. We've been drafting, and now we're back to needing a number one again, which, again, a college kid doesn't do it for me. I need someone proven, and you're saying that there's only one guy who I'm not really that sold on, and then after that we're going to veterans. Man, can we get in the 3rd round, can we get a wide receiver that you think could be as good as Jack Bash, if not better, and Dante Thornton?
Maybe I'm just not educated enough on the draft class, but to be honest with you, not really. No,
right.
There's really only, if you want to get one of those like needle mover receivers in the draft this year, you're probably going to have to go in the top 2 rounds. A couple of guys that I see that, could slip into the 3rd or 4th round that I really personally like. I really like Elijah Surratt, who obviously is another Indiana guy who has chemistry with Mendoza. So the learning curve right there is going to be as hard. There's another guy I like a lot, Ted Hurst from Georgia State, about 6'4", 6'5", really big, had a hell of a Senior Bowl, looked really good at the Combine, small school guy. And if you go and you look into Ted Hurst, you'll know what I'm talking about. Really, he's just a small school guy. People are going to question like his the competition that he faced, but he looked great at the Senior Bowl. He's a really sneaky guy in the later rounds that I would also target.
You want to talk to Levi? We're not going to shut him out. Wake up and get your ass in here. We got a lot of Raider news happening. 702-365-9200. What the hell's going on out there? We're doing a talk show. Let's move. I don't wait around. This ain't a podcast. 702-365-9200. Why couldn't Geno get the ball out last year? Was there no separation? Was he staring down the safeties? What was going on with Geno's eyes that it was so easy for defensive coordinators to figure him out?
All of the above. It was all of the above. It really, you watch the first couple of games with Geno last year and you think to yourself, like, man, he's not really playing well. Like, what the hell is going on? And then there was, by week 7, week 8 comes around, you watch Geno, and then you just kind of think to yourself, like, man, he's really just getting sent out here to be killed. Like, I know that's a lack of better terms, but it was like no protection. Receivers aren't getting separation. Play calling is weak. And it's just like, man, like it didn't matter if it was Geno Smith or Patrick Mahomes at that point. Like I'm watching these games and you just don't think anybody's going to get the job done with all of the surrounding circumstances. So I'm not here trying to give Geno Smith the benefit of the doubt. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I'm saying is that the problem with the Raiders offense last year is just so above and beyond Geno Smith. It's not just him. We can't just put all of the blame on him at quarterback when there's so many other things. Brock Bowers was hurt for most of the season. Like, there's just so many things that contributed to why he looked the way that he did.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that. Geno, from meeting Geno when he got the gig and he was at the draft party, just a great guy, really excited about the opportunity that he had in front of him. And then nothing really worked out, and the play calling was weak. Chip Kelly got fired. I think there was no chemistry with the quarterback, the play caller, and the head coach. And Pete Carroll has been known to be a chemistry guy, and the chemistry with the head coach and the offensive coordinator wasn't there. The offensive coordinator was fired. He was the first sacrificial firing in that situation. And then afterwards, it was just a little bit too late. The Kenny Pickett deal. I'm not thrilled at the fact that the Raiders had to give up draft picks to get Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett, but that's what happened at the time. When Geno was getting banged up, and as we talked about, running for his life, the Raiders had Aiden O'Connell hurt, and then you look and you got to get Kenny Pickett. You weren't going to get Kenny Pickett for free.
No.
So you had to give up something to get Kenny Pickett. It'd be nice to have that Kenny Pickett pick in this draft and have an extra fifth rounder.
It's actually crazy even thinking about this. I was talking to one of my boys who's a news anchor in Cleveland now, and it's so crazy thinking about the whole Kenny Pickett situation because Kenny Pickett was almost the starter for the Browns going into the season. He told me that Kenny Pickett was at the time winning that competition with Deshaun Watson hurt. He was the number one quarterback. And so this is a guy that you trade for, and if he didn't get hurt in training camp last year, he might have been the starter week 1 for the Browns. So you think to yourself, like, okay, you're getting someone that would be a good backup option, in the case that Geno Smith can't play, and you bring him in, and I don't know if he just could never really get a grasp of the offense. There's a lot of the same issues that plagued Geno, that plagued Pickett in terms of talent and, people around him. But things never really seemed to get clicking with Kenny Pickett. And I'm curious as to why. There's so many reasons as to why it couldn't, and especially I feel had a chance to really take a grip of that job when you're going into Philadelphia, you're playing your old team, you're back in your backyard, and you feel like, okay, well, this is your time to show, like, okay, I could be that guy, and it just doesn't happen. So it does suck that you have to give up so many assets to get guys that will probably not be on the roster.
Yeah, I thought the offense, and we knew it as it was happening, but we have to respect the coach and his son. We have to. We did, and we knew how bad it was. But I just think the offensive line being coached so poorly and struggling with confidence and the ability to play well really hurt the quarterback position, at a very high level. Here's Spencer from Florida. He's watching our live stream. He wants to call in. Go ahead, Spencer. You're up with Levi Edwards. What do you got? Thanks. All right, I'll jump in first. I'll start with JPJ. No, I don't think JPJ comes in at center because he couldn't make center this past year. And I think the new coaching staff has to give him a fresh start at the center position to prove that he's going to play that position. If they get Tyler Linderbaum in free agency, the number 1 center, there's no chance JPJ is going to play center. He'll be moved to guard.
Yeah, I think what people don't understand when they talk about the whole JPJ thing and him being guard or center or what's going to happen with that is he was drafted to be a guard. 2 regimes ago, he was drafted to be a guard, and we're still having this conversation because he won the Remington Award, I understand. He stepped in for a couple of games at center his rookie year, and he looked pretty solid. But at the end of the day, the Raiders have always wanted him to be a guard. Most NFL teams have always viewed him as a guard. He played guard for most of his life and his college career before he moved over to center. So JPJ is a guard. He had a couple of really good games at center, and now people have been convinced for all of time that he's supposed to be a center.
So how do you win the Remington Award for Oregon, a powerhouse national championship contender, and then go into the draft and people thinking you're a guard? So what were the Raiders thinking about at center with Jordan Meredith with little to no experience? There had to be better choices than Jordan Meredith before the season started. During the season, I get it. During the season, I get it. If he's practicing well or if he's the best guy competing, we all heard about this best five, best five, best five. Okay, but the method was, why didn't we have an elite center if he was not supposed to be the center and he was more drafted to be a guard?
Yeah, that still baffles me because I think Jordan Meredith played so good at guard. The year before. He was probably one of the best offensive linemen on the team. And then you take those interior line positions and you just move them all over the board, where you take Parham, he plays so well at right guard, and that was his bread and butter. And then you move him over to the other side. You take Jordan Meredith, who had been a guard his whole life. He probably had a handful of starts as a scout team center throughout his career, and then you move him over to center, and then you move JPJ back over to guard, and he gets hurt. So there's so much configuration that happened there to where not only I think people just look at the offensive line and how they played and how many sacks they gave up, and they're like, man, this is such a trash unit. But I don't think people understand how bad they were failed and how bad they had to move around and figure out new positions to play on the whim, in the NFL. And that's just hard. It really is just difficult. Like, they just were not put in a good position to succeed. And hopefully, if you throw a Brinks truck at Tyler Lindenbaum and you put him at your center, and then you can kind of move around that and you get some guards, you put JPJ at, the guard spot he's most comfortable with, and then find another one either in free agency or in the draft, or maybe even develop Caleb Rogers, do something like that. You're in a better position. But I really do think that JPJ should remain at guard. And then you should probably put all of your time and energy into making sure.
If Lindenbaum was there at center and then JPJ was at guard and then Colt Miller was at left tackle, you'd have three really good players and everybody else can compete. And then you're going to bring in another one. You're going to bring in another one from outside the building, either in free agency on cut down day or the draft. And you really start to rebuild that offensive line quickly. Only breaking news so far in the last hour, Tom Pelissero reporting the Niners have hired Matt Eberflus as their assistant head coach of defense, per sources. The former Bears head coach and most recently the Cowboys defensive coordinator will fill a key role vacated when Gus Bradley left for Tennessee. And it's nice to have friends, man. Like someday I might need you to just bring me over. You know what I mean? Like, I worked with JT a few years, man. JT needs a gig, man. Bring him over. This NFL, you get fired. If you got friends in the league, you're getting hired.
Yeah, no, I don't think people understand how much. I'm not trying to knock Matt Eberflus. I don't know the man, and he's accomplished a lot within his career. But I think people don't understand that the NFL, professional sports, is just like any other basic job, where it's like, oh yeah, no, I know my dog. He needs a job. Yeah, let me call him in and get him this role. It really is just kind of like everyday life situations, except on the grandest scale.
Clay, are you good with these assistant head coach, run game coordinators, pass game coordinators, which means you're adding coaches that historically have not been paid and been brought into your organization? Run game coordinator, pass game coordinator, assistant head coach, when you used to have head coach, offense and defensive coordinator. How do you feel about the addition of these new job titles?
No, I think it's good. I think it helps having as much support as possible, because there's so much that needs to take place as far as work during the season for film, footage, and that these practices go deep, and you got to make sure that it's not all on one person's shoulder to start improving certain position groups. And hey, we've seen it before. The top scoring teams in the league, they often make the playoffs. So stack the deck with as much staff as you want on the offensive side.
When we come back, we're going to talk defense with Levi Edwards. We're assuming Maxx Crosby is here. He is here. We're going to build the defense around Maxx Crosby and what the rest of the defense needs to look like, from the back end of the safety position, the corner position, what he saw at the combine, when we continue on. If you have a question on anything with the Raiders with Levi, from the combine, free agency, take advantage of it now. Vinny's in for me tomorrow, number 702-365-9200. Boyd Gaming, with all the great properties here in town, they just made another big donation to UNLV and their athletic department. We thank Boyd Gaming for their proud partnership of our show. All right. We're just going to be two buddies chatting it up in here, if you guys want to chat it up. But I take breaks during the commercials. I need a break. So normally I don't like to jibber jab a lot. But I feel getting Linderbaum is a dream. What do you think about Logan or Mendoza, their center from
Pat Coogan. Wait,
Pat
why am I
Coogan? Yeah,
talking? That's not on.
that's not on.
Yeah, Pat Coogan.
I like
Great.
him a lot. Played at Notre Dame.
Yeah, love him a
What
lot.
is he projected to go?
I've been seeing like 4th round, which is like insane.
Really?
But he's kind of old though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't he play like 6 years?
I think he's been like 5 or 6 years. And I think there's another guy that I want to add in on the show. We can talk about him in defense.
Yeah.
Akeem Messidor. I love Akeem Messidor, but he's going to be like 25 when he gets drafted by the Raiders or by whoever. So like that's just not. But I think a lot of these really good players coming out, their draft stocks are tanking because of just how old they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into that. So they're older, so their draft value, because they're 26, 24, or
yeah, these
24.
guys 24, 25 coming out of college. So now by the time they're done with their rookie deal and they're going on their second contract, they're already 29, 30 years old. And that's like, is that a player that you want to have on your roster? And I think if you're already a good team and you're making one of these picks and you just need them for like the 4 or 5 years that they're at their prime, then you don't give a shit. But
right.
But if you're the Titans and you're in full rebuild, like you probably want like a 21, 22-year-old guy.
Yeah. Well, you got to get a good offensive line for Cam Ward, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, their offensive line was as bad as ours.
Bad as ours. Yeah, I'll get you a cane. See, we do these live reads. So I had 19 partners. We're down to like 10 because it's the off season. Then they come back. So every day what a live read is, and I'll have for you, is that we'll have them written up, and you just come out of break. You say, welcome back, Levi Edwards, in for JT, brought to you by Raisin Canes. You'll have something to read about it, and then you get back into the calls. It's that easy.
Wait, when is it live again?
In 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you have time to get water?
Yeah, I got plenty of time, yeah. There's cups in that water machine in the break room.
If you listen to this Adam Shepard on with Adam Shine, he says there's a lot of noise and a lot of rattling of sabers. Sabers meaning Raiders?
How aggressive will the conflict?
Yeah.
A lot of noise. Blowing a lot of timbers. And blowing a Maxx Crosby trade. They can get it done live. It's a different question. We'll see. That's interesting. Sabers are in the logo.
Law enforcement or construction, this could be your key to home ownership.
All right, everybody, we're coming back.
The Vegas Golden Knights are rolling through another epic season. There's nothing more refreshing than an ice cold surf sensation.
Oh, yeah. Dodgers 8, Cincinnati 6. Dodgers 8, Cincinnati 6.
Side.
Trade Crosby to the Jets, huh? You think that makes sense?
21, please responsibly. You don't need everything I just saw. Went to Disney.
Aviators. Yeah, what free agents are we bringing back? That's a good one. I'll ask Levi about that. Raider Deb, what's up? Oh, I got to get some blood work done after the show for a basic doctor's appointment, which means I've been fasting since last night.
$64 per person per night on select date through March 31st, 2026. For a party of 4 adults, including 2-day, 1 park per day tickets and a 3-night stay at a select Good Neighbor Hotel and a deluxe room. Total price $1,960. Visit Disneyland.com/Good Neighbor Hotels for details.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brit Show.
Made it to 16. Oh, yeah, we have a Seahawks fan here.
Style lager.
Part 3. Decision time, John, our caddy. Do I go with Coors Light or Modelo? Modelo. Gotta be Modelo. All right, JT, this is for you. Fuck up this hole. I'm blaming you.
My buddy Bruce Allen teeing off with a Modelo. I love that. All right. Levi went and hydrated. That's what's very important.
Stay hydrated. Shout out Denzel Perryman.
Yes. Someone asked in the chat, what free agents do we bring back? Ooh.
There's one for sure.
You all right with that chair? You're one for sure?
Cool. Just gonna keep it right here.
Yeah. Why am I laughing? What's the one free agent for sure? Why am I laughing?
Oh, like, are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking.
Oh, Eric Stokes.
Right, yeah.
This is a random conversation we could have later. You're a big Rolling Stones guy, right?
All right, JT and Levi Edwards in studio here at Loaded Broadcasting as we continue on. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. I'm a Caniac. You hung out with my son in Indianapolis. He's a box combo guy. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. So you and my son hooked up in Indianapolis at the Combine, went out to dinner. It was good to catch up. He's grinding, man. He's out there doing some work and trying to figure out his career as a young sports agent. So he was sitting in there like everybody else, taking a look at those 40 times and learning the craft.
Yeah, no, it's really good to just kind of talk to somebody, you know, around the same age, who's in the same industry. And it was funny because he had just randomly asked me, like, you know, what would you be doing if you wasn't a reporter? And I told him, like, I would be doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
Like, if I wasn't a reporter, if I didn't go into journalism, I would have gone to sports marketing or I would have been a sports agent.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have a lot in common.
Yeah, I'm proud of both my sons and my son who just got back from the Combine. So Levi's here. If you want to get through, you want to ask him a question about the Combine or free agency, today's a good day to do it. 702-365-9200. More on this. We got a soundbite coming in from Shine On Sports. I work with Adam over at SiriusXM. He had Adam Schefter on about some of the news today on free agency.
I think we'll exploring a Maxx Crosby trade. Whether they can get it done or not is a different question. We'll see. Usually, no. There's two things factors. I think
Right. Well, that's interesting because Jerry has a good relationship with Mark Davis. Over the years, had a great relationship with Al Davis, and the Cowboys' picks are pretty interesting. They got two good picks in the first round.
Yeah, they got two good picks, but more importantly, they got Quentin Williams on that defensive line. So it's really one of those things where they let go of Micah Parsons, and that was a very, very questionable decision for them to make and not just pay him. But now you have some draft capital. You go out and you get Quentin Williams, who I feel is a top 5 defensive tackle in the league. And then if you are able to find a way to pull the trigger and get Crosby, that's definitely something that moves the needle for them, because I think their offense is already pretty good right now, and their defense last year was their Achilles heel. So improving that immediately, definitely makes them into a playoff contender again.
One of our audience members in the chat says, which Raider free agents current on the Raider roster do they have to bring back? So what do you think about that? Because there's a lot of players who will not be back, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that was the thing that I believe that if you ask John Spivak what he kind of regrets the most about his first offseason with the Raiders, it's probably not diving into his cap space and diving into the assets of which he could have. And with that, he signed a lot of guys who are on these 1-year contracts, these prove-it deals, these 2-year guys, these veterans. And I think this year he wants to definitely go younger and also get a couple more long-term deals done to kind of have guys in the building. And also make sure that he doesn't let as many really good free agents go and test the market. And so right now, I think obviously Eric Stokes has to be the number one concern for guys that you have to re-sign on defense. And he was a guy that I thought was really good with the Packers. And it was really just one of those things where he just couldn't stay healthy and he kind of fell out of place within that rotation. But it was never like he was a bad player. It wasn't like he was just getting torched. He just couldn't stay on the field. And so this year with the Raiders, he finally has another one of those like fully healthy seasons where he really was locked down on a whole half of the field. And the most offenses would just kind of like dink and doink on the Raiders, or they would pick on the other corner, which was Caillou Blue or Darian Porter or DCAM. They would always pick on that side. But Eric Stokes really was locked down for the whole season, if you ask me, and probably one of the more underrated corners in the league.
You got to keep him because, again, Caillou was a practice squad player, got a lot of playing time here. Pete Carroll liked him a lot. I think Caillou really developed well under Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll had a lot of confidence in Caillou Blue Kelly from Bishop Gorman High School here in Vegas. And Darian Porter, we love his size. He better have a good offseason. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know who he's working out with, if he's in the building or not. But he's tall, he's long, he's athletic. He was a wide receiver in college. When you go draft a wide receiver that you're trying to turn into corner, that is risky, man. And if you're going to play him in the NFL as a rookie, that's even more risky. But he did get some reps in last year, and I hope it benefits him this offseason, and he's ready to go at the start of this year.
Yeah, there's another guy, because it's funny, I was talking about this in the building yesterday with Tommy Eichenberg, because we were just talking about how amazing the offensive, how much the defensive guys at the combine look from Ohio State. And I'm like, man, I can't believe y'all didn't repeat. I'm looking at these guys running these 40s and all this stuff. And all that being said, Lorenzo Styles, he's another one of those guys that fits that Darian Porter profile coming into this year, where the production necessarily wasn't there, but he ran a 4.27 at the combine, freak athlete. And he was a receiver. He was a receiver at Notre Dame, transferred to Ohio State, so we couldn't really necessarily see how much he could do at corner when he was at Ohio State. He was just going out there playing with athleticism and doing what he could, even though he was a receiver. So now this is another one of those guys like Darian last year, where do you take that risk just off of physical traits and abilities and athleticism and you try to develop them, or do you try to go after a surefire corner that that can produce right now? That's a question that I can't answer.
Yeah, Levi Edwards joins us in studio till the top of the hour. Q Myers coming up at the top of the hour. Stick around as always for his show. When I look at last year, Spillane left like 40 seconds into free agency. He was ready to go. And he loved it here. He loved being a Raider, but he had Vrabel wanted him. Vrabel sold him and the Patriots, even though the legal tampering, he wanted to go. I had no problem when we looked at the rest of Merrick leaving. I was all right with Merrick, but was that a mistake to let him go? Because he got overpaid by, I thought, a significant amount of money. But that's the type of player that the Raiders wanted to keep in-house, but I thought he was just chasing the cash.
Yeah, I do think, I don't want to say overpaid necessarily by the Panthers, but he definitely, when you look at his market value, he probably did get a lot more. He
maximized it, and he played well.
He maximized on it, and he played well with the Panthers. And this is one of those situations where it does look like a mistake for the Raiders, only just from the perspective of they had the money. It's not like this is, we got all this cap space now, so let's use it. The Raiders were in this exact same boat last year, where they had pretty much the same amount of cap space going into the offseason. Half of it was taken up by the Geno Smith trade, so then you have $40 million that you have to pay him out the gate, and so then half of that gets taken up. So I really do think that they had the money to kind of retain a few more guys and just didn't. And with Trayvon, did he maximize on his market value? Yes. Is he playing well in Carolina now? Yes, I really do think so. And the Raiders could have probably got it done if they tried.
Levi Edwards joins us. The other one, Chason. How did Chason get out of the building? And the next thing you know, we're seeing him play in the Super Bowl, right? So
Yeah.
what was that about? What's the backstory
The
there?
Chason one really, like, that still destroys me because every Patriots game that I have to watch this season, you just hear his name. You just see him making play after play. And if he's not making play after play, he's making a crucial play to win the game. And it just carried on to the playoffs. And he really had this crazy awakening because he was kind of deemed as a bust in Jacksonville. He was a first-round pick at LSU, and he didn't have the career there that people would have hoped or dreamed that he had. And then I feel like Rob Leonard unlocked him.
He did.
Rob Leonard unlocked him, and he was able to really get all of him, really get a lot out of him just in that system and building up his confidence. And Patrick Graham schemed up a lot for him, and he really made the most of those opportunities. And it's not even that they let him go. It's just that he went for nothing, it feels like. It feels like the Patriots just went and got Caleb Chason off a free agency market for a bag of chips. And now he's your starting edge rusher, and he's getting you to a Super Bowl. And it's funny now because he enters back into free agency with Rob Leonard as the defensive coordinator.
Interesting.
The guy that helped unlock him in that season with the Raiders. So I'd be very curious to see now going back into free agency of a prove-it deal with the Patriots. Do they try to kick the tires on that again?
I think you would stay with the Patriots, wouldn't you? Like on a deal with the Patriots there, or when you're at that stage in your career and you've been doubted so much coming in as a high prospect, you're going to go chase the money the rest of the way. Get paid right now coming off a Super Bowl appearance, even though they lost.
I think he would want to stay with the Patriots, but do they have the bag for him? I would, if I was Caleb Chason at this stage in his career, I would probably go chase the bag. Especially if the Patriots are in a really good position right now with cap, and obviously they need to try to maximize on that right now, considering Drake May is going to be a hell of a lot of money once his rookie deal is done. So it's one of those things where they probably, are trying to find ways where they can re-sign him and bring him back. But if I'm Caleb and you've already had the career that you've had, and you've had to really go through 2 prove-it deals now with the Raiders and the Patriots, now this is your chance to cash out.
Man, there's so much garbage on the internet right now. People are just throwing garbage, and I'm not even repeating it. Everybody, look, again, anything could happen. There's a couple of people that have pretty big internet followings saying that the Raiders are potentially close to moving. Max, I'm not going to give them any credit because a lot of people have just been throwing this up against the wall. And what's bothered me, and I opened up the show, and if you missed the monologue, you can find it on YouTube. I thought it was a special one today. I'll be out of here tomorrow, so I wanted to get everything off my chest. Go to our YouTube page at JT the Brick. My issue is that all the people that wanted to get this Max thing right, some people are going to act like they got it right. They're going to be sitting there saying, I told you, I told you, I told you. Now, if he stays, which I hope he does, I'll be the guy saying, I told you he wasn't going anywhere. But I've evolved on this a little bit. I think there's a lot of heat. I still believe Max is going to stay because I hope he's going to stay. But when I take my emotions out of this and I say, hey, do my job as just being a sports talk host and read the room is that there are so many desperate journalists and insiders in a couple of big markets. Dallas and Chicago is no joke. They got bigger media than we have in Vegas times 10. Let me repeat that again. And this sounds like a shot at Vegas, and it is. We got a couple of good people here in Vegas, okay? And a couple of them in this building. This ain't the Dallas Cowboys media press box. And it ain't the Chicago Bears media press box. Okay, it's not credentialed. It doesn't look that way in Vegas the way it looks in Chicago and in Dallas, and I've been in those press boxes. So a lot of people in those markets are right now, Levi. They're hyping, man. They're Chicago. They're Dallas. They're out there typing away because they want Maxx Crosby because it's good for their business as content providers.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where it's when you're covering a good team at a good time, then everybody's getting paid.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, and it's the same thing. Everybody's getting the bag. It's the same way with us. We want to be good because our content is more important and it's more valuable. And Maxx Crosby, just within his time with the Raiders, he's been really good with media, making sure that, there's so many things that there's so many stories I've been able to tell with Max that I'm just forever grateful for him being able to.
Didn't you go to his house?
I did go to his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a big feature story on him where I went to his older house when he still lived in Henderson and interviewed his wife. We did a video feature on it. I talked to his brother for it, and I'm still pretty cool with Rachel. Still pretty cool with his brother Miles down in Dallas. So I really have enjoyed the time that he's been with the Raiders. I'm not trying to speak in past tense of like, oh, well, he's going to get traded tomorrow. I hope that the Raiders figure out a way to do what's best for them. And if they keep him, then that's great. I'm not going to, be mad about it. But I will say that, he's definitely has made life better for us and our department.
Made my life a lot better, man. Max has been really good to me and my wife, and I love having him around, man. I think he's too important for this organization to leave. And I hope that this thing quiets down and he's here. But a lot of people in other markets are jammed up right now, and they got nothing without Max. Believe me, they don't got much in Dallas and Chicago without Max. That's not a good offseason, so I understand why they are stoking the fire, as we like to say on that, stoking the fire. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with Levi, get you ready for Q at the top of the hour. Vinny in for me tomorrow on Raider Nation Radio. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. We're going to end the stream right here from Levi, JT, and Clay. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit like and share, please. Please hit like. Please do it right now. It takes you a second. And share this with you can with other people. Share it.